Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:07 on O'Connor and Company. Good morning. Coming up at 7:05, Chris Sununu, CEO of Airlines for America. Also, he knows his way around politics, and there's another Sununu making headlines.
That's right, yeah.
His brother announcing he's running for Senate. That could tip things over for the Republicans. We'll get into all that stuff with Chris Sununu, former governor of New Hampshire, now speaking on behalf of the airlines and the whole government shutdown. That's 7:05. 8:05 brings Stefano Ritten. They'll talk about the strikes against narco-terrorists in the South Caribbean. And then at 8:35, the Attorney General of Virginia, Jason Miyares. Boy, let's reserve some time for the Attorney General because there's a lot going on. Democrats' last-minute shenanigans in Virginia. Patrice Onwuka trying to call a session to redistrict. I don't think they can, by the way. I think the Constitution will stop them from doing that. But they also want to take Winsome Sears off the playing field so she's not campaigning. Surprisingly, it also takes Ghazala Hashmi off the playing field.
That's right,
She's running for lieutenant governor, although she doesn't debate or show up or talk to anyone anyway, so it really won't make a difference. Anyway, all of that to unpack coming up. It's Larry O'Connor. That's Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody.
Thank you very much for that. That's the Virginia election, which is really all we should be talking about because it's only a week and a half away. But, you know, this is D.C., man, and you can never be too early talking about the next presidential election. That's right. We're not even a year from last presidential election, but the Democrats are all lining up to try to be the top dog for the nomination. Of course, I continue to say, Patrice, that if they don't just hand the nomination to Kamala Harris and give her a real shot this time, not just 107 days, well, they're sexist and racist, obviously. I mean, to give it to... If the Democrats nominate a white man like Gavin Newsom when they could have Kamala Harris or Jasmine Crockett for that matter, obviously sexist and racist.
Not just a white man, a straight white man. I mean, you can't get lower on the victim totem pole than a straight heterosexual man.
Are you
right?
sure
what?
about Gavin Newsom?
White man.
I mean, Gavin Newsom presents pretty gay, doesn't he?
Well, no.
No
He's
straight man
but
spends
he's more
that
like the
kind of time.
metrosexual type.
Or metro. All right, we'll give him that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't know for sure one way or the other, but I don't know.
He's got great hair. That is undeniable. And
Not
he's
just
got
great
good looks,
hair.
and he's tall, and he's slim, and he's got like the swimmer's body. I mean, yeah, he's got a lot to offer from a male perspective.
Simmer down, Patrice. All right, let's just.
No, trust me, my husband is hunkier, but I'm just saying.
It's not that he has great hair, because men can have great hair. I mean, Byron York has a great head of hair. No one would accuse him of playing on that side of the fence. It's not about Gavin Newsom having great hair that raises my curiosity about his proclivities. It's the fact that he spends so much time on his hair. That's the thing. You know that. I mean, anyway.
He's got a process for that hair every day, for sure.
J.B. Pritzger, the 700-pound governor of Illinois and multi-billionaire, heir of the Pritzker fortune. They made their money in hotels, didn't they? Isn't it? Is it Hyatt? Is that them? They're
Hyatt.
Hyatts,
I think it's
they?
Hyatt.
Yeah. There you go. That's why I'm a Marriott man. Anyway, J.B. Pritzker wants to take the stunning success that he has brought to the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago and replicate that everywhere across the country. And last night, he decided to show up on Fox News Channel with Bret Baier. And Bret Baier asked, a pretty obvious question. You want to be governor? What's going on with the murder rate in Chicago? Listen to this stunning exchange. Cut 10.
No, they're doing everything by the book.
Why does Chicago have the highest murder rate of all the big cities?
Well, we are not in the top 30 in terms of our murder rate. Indeed,
the
our murder rate it has been cut in half over the last 4 years, and every year it's gone down by double digits. And if you look at all of the violent crime over the last 4 years,
here's a map.
They've all gone down.
U.S. cities, 17.47 per 100,000 population. Chicago is number one over Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Phoenix, Los Angeles, New York, and San Diego.
What I'm explaining to you
now,
is
you're
when
talking
you want
about
to fight
violent
crime. Look, you can pull statistics up.
No,
I can
these are
too.
murders.
I'm explaining to you that our murder rate has been cut in half. And very importantly, Brett, and you got to hear this, very importantly, we've been doing the things that are necessary to bring crime down, right? We've invested in community violence interruption. We've invested in police. They're doing everything by the book.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, you've got your statistics. Well, I've got mine too. I mean, that is so juvenile. And frankly, he can't convince anybody in Illinois or outside of Illinois that Chicago does not have a violent murder problem. I mean, he's the only one who's deluded enough to believe his own line.
I mean, listen, if he's going to go with that and try to, because here's the funny thing, if Democrats decide that he's going to be their guy and they're going to have to go with that narrative, then all the other Democrats and the media are going to have to jump on board with telling this lie that, are you kidding? Chicago's never been safer. It's great. And they fall into the same old trap of trying to tell you that what you see and know, what you see with your own eyes and what you obviously conclude with your own logic isn't true. Men can be women. Joe Biden is sharp as a tack, never been better. Run circles around his staff behind closed doors. Kamala Harris is a brilliant politician and more articulate than any other woman before her. And Chicago is perfectly safe with a murder rate down there with Des Moines, Iowa. That's what you got to believe. And when you show them the numbers and you show them facts and you show them logic, they're just going to look at you and say, oh, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. And it's like, okay, go with that if that's what you want to go with.
Yeah, he's not setting himself up well for 2028.
It was a great moment for Brett to do that, and I appreciate it. Now, there was another moment where I wish Brett had pushed back, because Pritzger is one of the guys that keeps calling Trump and federal law enforcement officers Nazis.
Yes.
And he keeps pushing on this narrative, and that leads to violence against Republicans and law enforcement officers.
Yeah.
So here's Pritzker doing the same thing last night, talking about spreading lies about ICE or inflammatory rhetoric about ICE agents. Take a listen, cut 11.
No one in Washington, no one above them, no supervisor, no inspector general is holding anybody accountable. There literally haven't been any suspensions or firings for the terrible things that they've done, literally grabbing people, tackling them when they're U.S. citizens and have done zero
You've
wrong.
referred to ICE as Kristi Noem's thugs. Would you be willing to do a ride-along with ICE in Chicago to get a better understanding about what they do and what they deal with?
I can see what they do on the streets of Chicago. And
are there any ICE agents that are good? There are any ICE agents that are good?
Of course. The problem is who's holding the bad ones accountable, because the bad ones, frankly, are the ones that we're seeing all the time. And then you have Bovino on Fox News saying, oh, they're very professional. They're doing everything by the book.
Well, that's true, actually. God, Lord knows there's plenty of activist groups who can initiate a lawsuit against law enforcement, against ICE, and claim that they're this whole idea they're tackling citizens to the ground. What do you think police officers do when they're arresting someone for breaking the law?
Every day.
Good Lord.
Well, and so if he didn't set himself up well with that response, Brett had to say, so they're no good guys? And then he's like, oh, well, yeah, of course. But then it was like he was forced to actually say that. Someone who's trying to actually run in 2028 would lead with, well, I believe that most of these agents are doing the right thing. They're trying to do their job and keep us safe, but they're the bad apples. So I don't know. Yeah. I just think he's totally wrong.
Yeah, but I agree, and inflammatory. And again, utilizing rhetoric that may be great for his base, but actually puts law enforcement in danger and, frankly, ends up with a bullet whizzing by the head of Donald Trump, and even worse with Charlie Kirk. A little bit more on Pritzker's big day on Fox News yesterday, and then we'll predict whether he's even going to make it to Iowa. That's coming up in a moment. First, though, at 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
So he used his time, J.B. Pritzker did, the governor of Illinois, to sit on the set of Fox News with Bret Baier and accuse ICE agents of being racist, thugs. You just heard him call them thugs. And breaking the law and attacking people wantonly. The best Bret Baier could get out of him was, well, they're not all bad. There's some good ones. Here he goes again with, take a listen to cut 12 here, continuing this narrative, this diatribe against federal. This is a man who wants to be president of the United States, which would make him the boss of all of these federal law enforcement officers. How's that going to work out? Take a listen.
Something that we should be really talking about like that?
The thing that we're demonizing is when ICE agents aren't following protocols. They aren't acting like law enforcement should act. They're instead literally racially profiling. We've seen it. All you have to do is go online and look at some of the videos. Just to be clear, because I think many people that are listening maybe haven't seen that
You don't
before.
think you're painting with a broad brush of all the ICE agents that are doing their job?
No, we're saying that if you're an ICE agent and you do these things, we think you ought to be held accountable. And yet no one in Washington, no one above them, no supervisor, no inspector general is holding anybody accountable. There literally haven't been any suspensions or firings for the terrible things that they've done.
And you notice he did, what are these terrible things? Okay, so he says they're literally racially profiling. All right, just stop for a moment. If you're law enforcement and you are going after a suspect who you believe has committed a crime, and you ask for a description of the suspect, and they say, well, it's a black person, or a brown person, or an Asian person, or a white person, and so you go to try to find that suspect, and you only look at people who match that description, are you racially profiling people, or are you practicing normal law enforcement protocols? It's volatile anti-cop rhetoric that he's using and exploiting that will put cops in harm's way and help his own political cause. That should tell you something, by the way. When you lie and malign cops and put them in harm's way, it helps a Democrat for his political agenda. Just think about that for a minute when you recognize where we are right now as a political system.
Yeah, it's sickening. And, you know, the reason why he uses specifically racial profiling is because he knows that the word race is a hot button. It's an emotional trigger for people of color. And so anytime they hear somebody could potentially be anything racial, then their antennas go up. And so he's just playing off of emotion here, not on people's logic.
Meanwhile, Trump, employing these tactics and in the 2024 campaign promising to employ these tactics to get the criminal element off of the street, actually increased his votes with black voters and Latino voters. So,
especially Hispanic voters,
This, just so you know, this language is meant to appeal to cushy, white, liberal, suburban types. To say, oh, I can't vote for that racist. It's actually not meant to appeal to people of color who are supposedly the victims of this racism, because the people of color actually want the bad guys off the streets because they're the victims of the crime.
The targets of their crimes,
Meanwhile, Pritzker's continued his jihad against law enforcement. He has now signed an executive order forming a special commission to track ICE agents, because apparently Illinois is awash with money and they've got all these extra funds. They don't need any money for law enforcement to clean up the streets of Chicago and keep it safe. No, they're going to spend their money protecting criminal illegal immigrants from federal law enforcement officers. Attorney General Pam Bondi last night spoke on this on Jesse Waters, and, she reacted to what's going on in Illinois and Jabba the Hutt, Pritzker.
JB Beck, Ribs, Pritzker, they're doxing, they're telling people the whereabouts of ICE agents. Is that legal?
No. And Jesse, first time I've seen the Lori Lightfoot video was just now on your show. She will be getting a letter from us tomorrow to preserve.
Let's pause there. She refers to a Lori Lightfoot video. We've got a little audio from Lori Lightfoot. She's the former mayor of Chicago, and she's, I guess, trying to resurrect her career. Let's listen to that, a little bit of it. It's too long, but let's get a bit of it. Go ahead.
We start the process of unmasking the agents. Even though they're wearing masks, every single one of them has a towel.
You say unmasking, they're going to say you're going to dox them, and that's why threats against them are up.
They are on public property, out in the open. We have an absolute right under our Constitution to be able to document what's happening. Every single one of those agents, height, weight, hair color, they wear their vests in a particular way. They're wearing insignias. Even the masks that they wear, the shoes that they wear, the cars that they're driving. We have a right to compile that information. And,
there you go. In other words, she's basically calling to target ICE agents, dox them, figure out who they are, get their addresses. This is why they're wearing masks, because they're terrified.
For this very reason.
Right.
Because they have families.
Here's Bondi responding to that and what Pritzker said.
anything that she's done as well to make sure that she's not violating the law. It appears she is. You cannot disclose the identity of a federal agent, where they live, anything that could harm them. Pritzker, same ballgame with him. And, you know, Pelosi got a letter today from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. So did Brooke Jenkins, that DA in San Francisco. We told them, preserve your emails, preserve everything you have on this topic, because if you are telling people to arrest our ICE officers, our federal agents, you cannot do that. You're impeding an investigation, and we will charge them if they think they have not met me.
All right. So the bottom line is Democrats in these big cities cannot stop their secessionist ways. They are calling on their local and state law enforcement to square off against federal law enforcement. And this is specifically, again, let's be clear, about immigration law, which is obviously in the federal government's purview. And Pam Bondi's having none on it. And again, the bottom line here, politically, this is the way you get ahead if you're a Democrat right now. You go to war on cops. It's 624. 628 now. If you're in downtown D.C., Patrice Onwuka, and you saw you see a bunch of tight, older, millennial white folks standing on the sidewalk and screaming.
I'm going to clutch my purse.
Screaming at the top of their lungs. Don't be too alarmed. They're not in any trouble. There's no violent attack happening, and no, Bill Clinton isn't back in town. No, it's called the D.C. Scream Club. I'm not kidding. There is a new club or group operating in D.C. with the full goal of letting people come downtown and scream to their heart's delight, to let out all of their stress and anger. It's the D.C. Scream Club.
Leave it to millennials. These are millennials and Gen Zers, I'm guessing. Leave it to them to find another way to be infantile. I mean, come on now. Yes, life is rough and you can have stress, but getting together and having a scream fest is not how you adult. It is how you continue to be a kindergartner. Like my 5-year-old doesn't even do this. He figures out how to control his emotions, yet these young people haven't.
I'm sorry. The times aren't that bad. We're actually living in the best of times right now. Washington Post headline is DC's new Scream Club creates safe space to yell in public. Their first meeting was on October 19th at the Wharf, coming to a neighborhood near you. It's 6:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:37 now on O'Connor and Company. Good morning. Thanks for closing out your week with us and launching your way into the weekend. Starting at 7:05, Chris Sununu is going to be our guest. He's with Airlines for America. We'll talk about the impact on the airline industry here as we hit day 24 of the government shutdown. 8:05 brings us Stefano Rittendale, talk about the continued attacks on narco-terrorists trying to bring mayhem into our country. And at 8:35, the Attorney General of Virginia, Jason Miyares. Larry O'Connor here, Patrice Onwuka there. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Can you teach me how to do the head bob that you do so well? I don't.
You know, I think it's just in the blood, but you just kind of move your shoulders at the different direction than your head.
I think my neck muscles are too stiff. I can't do that.
You gotten it there.
It's like the Steve Martin King Tut thing. Anyway. Chelsea Clinton is chiming in on the renovations at the White House. She took to social media and said this message, being very, very sad about the East Wing. By the way, I don't think the children of the president spent a whole lot of time in the East Wing of the White House. Hillary Clinton. By the way, I love Hillary Clinton lamenting the loss of the East Wing to make way for America's Ballroom. because famously, what is the one most prominent thing about the East Wing that everybody knows? It's that's where the First Lady's office is.
Ooh.
And when Hillary Clinton was First Lady, she demanded to have an office in the West Wing so she could be where the action is. She wanted to be close to the Oval Office, and although she wasn't monitoring things, she wasn't monitoring the Oval Office quite as closely as she should have been. But so she actually dissed the East Wing. Said, I don't want to be over there. That's where you put first ladies who just bake cookies and stand by their man. I want to be in the middle of the action. So it's just hilarious. Anyway, she said, Chelsea Clinton, the daughter of Bill and Hillary, said, the White House became my home when I was 12 years old. I always understood that it wasn't my house. It was the people's house. And then she has an op-ed that she highlights from USA Today that says, Trump is wrecking a place I called home, the people's house. Can I just, real fast, just between us, because I don't want to spoil anybody's delusions about their childhood. What is she, 50 now, Chelsea Clinton? But did no one tell her about, the stuff that happened there? I mean, have they protected her all this time? Is she not aware?
It's very possible, Larry. It's very possible she doesn't know what her dad did.
Daddy turned the People House into, Bob Guccione's pad. Yeah. The Oval Office had a rotating bed with a leopard fur comforter, for crying out loud.
And you put a quarter in it.
Yes, it vibrated. Little Laura. And she's like, it's the noble People's House. It's like, is she aware of what her dad did? All right, she might not be. Also yesterday, one of the big arguments about the president's renovation of the East Wing is that he's been very close to the vest about who's funding it and what they're going to be expecting in return. This is outrageous. This is, again, it's the oligarchy. So first they're angry that tax dollars are going to it, and then you find out, I don't know, no tax dollars are going to it.
There's no tax dollar.
It's all privately funded. And then they're even angrier. It's like, privately? How dare you do that? You should be using tax dollars, right? All right, so the list of 37 donors was released yesterday. Companies like Apple and Amazon, Meta, and Comcast, and wait a second. Comcast is paying for the renovation of the East Wing to make the ballroom. In other words, let me translate that for you. MSNBC is paying.
Exactly. Comcast, NBC Universal. Yeah, exactly.
NBC News, and they should call it the Rachel Maddow Ballroom, which actually works on two levels. Yeah, actually. All right. Coinbase, Caterpillar, Booz Allen, Microsoft, Lockheed Martin, HP, Google, Hard Rock International. That's interesting.
Are they going to put a Hard Rock cafe there? I mean,
giant electric guitar sign out front. We have some memorabilia. This is Elvis's toilet, that sort of thing. That'd be fun. The Adelson Family Foundation, United Pacific Railroad, T-Mobile. Listen, I understand people's concerns about money going in to do this thing and then expected return on investment or some sort of – okay, fine. That's why we have oversight. That's why if one of these companies, it appears, gets a sweetheart deal or a government contract or DOJ looks the other way on their corruption and it seems to be connected to the money they spent on the ballroom, fine, go after them for that. But on the face of it, the same people are screaming about this didn't bat an eye when Bill Clinton rented out the Lincoln bedroom, not for the benefit of the people or future presidencies, but for his own campaign funds. So I'm having trouble getting as exercised as everybody else about this whole thing.
Well, you shouldn't, and folks should not be. This is a distraction. It is not. It's not coincidental that right now on X, the People's House is trending, and you're seeing every lawmaker at the federal and state and local level talking about this White House renovation. No, open the federal government. That is what the focus should be on. Democrats need to join with Republicans in opening the government. Forget about what's going on at the White House. Yes, that's a story, but that is not the primary story, as we talked about earlier. And so folks should not get distracted by this. It's purely meant to change the headline and change the narrative. No, the federal government is shut down. Open the federal government. That's what the headline needs to be.
Yesterday, Caroline Leavitt did a press briefing. She took 30 questions from the media. 11 of them were about the ballroom. So
a third of the questions
Patrice
were on.
Onwuka,
Come on now.
I regret to inform you that the members of the corporate legacy media in Washington, D.C. are not taking your advice. And they are, in fact, being distracted by the ballroom. And for all I know, that was Trump's plan to begin with. It's 6:43.
This afternoon on the Derek Hunter Show, what will upset Democrats next week? We'll have some good guesses at 3 o'clock on WMAL.
Got to follow up on Jen Psaki, the atrocious ginger whose job was to lie on behalf of the Biden administration. You remember before that, she lied on behalf of John Kerry's State Department and then the Obama administration. She was the first spokesperson for the Biden White House. She lied all the time. And now she's paid to lie for MSNBC and for the Democrats with her own high-profile television show. Interestingly, her successor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who also lied on behalf of Biden, she didn't get the TV show. She didn't get the whole... No, she
didn't get any of that.
You know why? Because liberal Democrats in the media are racist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure some of her colleagues at MSNBC have articulated the same thing before, or at CNN. Some of her black female politicos have said the very same thing. There's a lot of irony there.
But Jen Psaki, the uptight, affluent white woman, liberal, ended up getting the TV show, and she was a guest on a podcast where she was talking about J.D. Vance. And, of course, the whole J.D. Vance is actually scarier and worse than Trump thing has already begun. I thought they'd wait until after the midterms of 26, but no, they've already started it.
They're getting a jump.
Then I'll remind you that she said this odious thing going after the vice president's wife. Listen.
Yeah. I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like, Are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you.
Now, the suggestion there, I guess, is that J.D. Vance is an abusive husband and she's in danger, or maybe she doesn't.
That's what they're intimating.
Or she doesn't agree with her president's politics and she needs to be saved from being trapped in this marriage with a MAGA conservative. I don't know. I do know that it's despicable to drag her into it. Usha Vance, for all intents and purposes, has been a very apolitical figure. Even on the campaign trail, I bent over backwards to try to find some political speech that she gave. The only thing I could find was the introduction of her husband at the Republican National Convention, which was very much just about her relationship with him and what a good man he is. But again, you know, you're not allowed to say that about someone like J.D. Vance lest you get attacked by the likes of Jen Psaki. Well, now J.D. Vance has responded. J.D., coming off of a trip to the Middle East and Israel, was asked about Jen Psaki's statement, and here was his response.
Former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki made some comments suggesting that your wife, the Second Lady, needed to be saved from you. How do you feel about comments like that being made while you're here with the Second Lady?
Oh, I think it's disgraceful, but of course the Second Lady can speak for herself, and I'm very lucky to have a wonderful wife. And I know, or at least I hope that my wife feels the same about me, but we are very lucky to have this journey, or I should say I'm very lucky to go on this journey with a very loving wife. We're going to keep on serving the country together, and I'm honored to have Usha by my side on this trip in particular, but always.
That, Patrice Onwuka, is called taking the high road, and I think it was the appropriate tone, because J.D. Vance doesn't always take the high road, and he certainly knows how to mix it up.
We know he's willing to get down and dirty with these guys. I think that was because I think this is a very personal thing, and you're attacking this woman. Jen Psaki is attacking his wife, and so you know he really stood up for his wife, and I love to see it. And they're just trying to pick at this relationship the way, remember, they used to pick at First Lady Melania Trump during the first Trump administration and say that she's trying to send signals that she's in an abusive relationship. I mean, it was disgusting then, and it's disgusting now. And so the way to deal with these people is to expose how just reprehensible their comments are and take the high road. This is a lady, Usha Vance deserves the high road. She's an articulate, intelligent, bright white woman who's clerked for federal judges who've gone on to become Supreme Court justices. So she is just fine. Maybe Jen Psaki is projecting.
Yeah, it is. Whatever happened to the sisterhood, though? I think you can speak to this
it doesn't extend to conservative women at all, and especially a conservative woman who is of a different nationality. You be an Asian American conservative woman, or a Black conservative woman, or a Hispanic conservative woman, and there is no sisterhood for you except amongst ourselves.
Yeah. It's a little breathtaking, actually, that these are considered mainstream voices and sort of amplifying. I look at this podcast. It's three white women sitting around, and by the way, the name of the podcast is "I've Had It." Just so you know, I mean,
with what?
Yeah, well, with men, I think, and with everyone that they disagree with. But this is the Abigail Spanberger-fication of the Democrat Party. This is who they're elevating right now as it's angry, liberal white women who have a lot of time on their hands. They're not raising children. They're not taking care of themselves and their lives and their families and doing what most women and men are doing with their lives, which is just trying to, praise their Lord and raise their children free of crime and drugs and put them on a good path. Instead, they sit around, turn on a microphone, and complain about everything.
And
I just don't know if it's a good image for the party.
Well, it's not. And they're so insulated. They think that they're so much smarter than everyone else that they're not even willing to entertain a woman whose child goes to their same school but thinks differently from them. Wouldn't invite that type of woman to their conversation to talk with her. No, that's not what they're interested in. They just want to have the same, share the same common idea, and anybody who doesn't belong in their group. I believe they made a movie about that called Mean Girls.
Yes, that's right. They should rebrand the podcast Mean Girls, and it would be right on cue. But I'll be honest with you. This is what's on the ticket in Virginia in 10 days. This
Abigail
exact
Spanberger.
type. Will these politics be rewarded? Every single one of these women, or Abigail Spanberger for that matter, if they weren't in politics and the media, they'd be redesigning the Cracker Barrel logo and talking Dylan Mulvaney into selling your favorite beer.
I love that.
That's who they are. That's what they do. And the fact that they are this classless and intolerant and mean-spirited tells you what you need to know about them. And I think America is turning the page on that sort of thing. It's 6:54.